Hey guys, welcome back to Chapter 4, Linear Relationships. Today we're looking at solving linear equalities in exercise 4b. So the four inequalities, which are written here, we've got less than, greater than, less than or equal to, and greater than or equal to, okay, so written in order, can be used to form what we call inequality statements. So linear inequality statements, they work in a similar way to linear equations, and we can solve them in a similar way to linear equations. Okay, on a number line, less than or greater than are represented by an open circle, and less than or equal to or greater than or equal to are represented with a closed circle. So I'll come up to that very, very soon. And there's a little note there that we'll need shortly, so I'll come back to that when we need it as well. So we're going to solve three separate linear inequalities for x, and then we'll represent them on the number line down the bottom. So here we have x minus 2 over 2 is less than 3. If we pretend that this less than is an equal sign, we could just continue solving as we normally would. I don't have enough colored ink for this, but that's fine. So the first thing we need to do is get rid of this divided by 2. And to do that, we're going to, that's right, multiply both sides by 2. That then cancels out, and we get x minus 2 is less than 6. So nothing's happened with the inequality. Instead of writing equals, we've just written the sign that was in the question. Next, to get rid of the minus 2 and just get x on its own, because that's always the goal, we're going to add 2 to both sides, and we get x is less than 6 plus 2 is 8. Okay, so that's our solution. If we had just equal signs here, that would make perfect sense as well. To make this statement true, if that was equals, x would have to be 8. So 8 take 2 is 6, divided by 2 is 3. However, when we're plotting that on a number line, so if I wanted to plot just x equals 8, I would draw a closed dot right over here. Okay. Instead, I'm going to draw an open dot because we've got a less than. So what this is telling us is that x is any number less than 8. It could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, it could be negative 3,000. It could be 7.9999999. But it will stop at the number 8, and 8 is not included in the solution. X is every number less than 8. So to indicate that, we draw an arrow. It doesn't have to extend the whole number line. It can be a nice short one. And that's really all there is to it. So a hollow dot for the less than symbol. Okay. We only color it in if there's an extra line. And we draw an arrow in the direction that x should be. Because this number line is labeled x. And what this means is x, this is the value of x. We'll try another one. Negative 2x is greater than or equal to 4. So this is a nice easy one. There's only one step. To get rid of the negative 2x over here, we need to divide by negative 2. However, if I could draw your attention to the note here in dark blue, the inequality will flip when multiplying or dividing by a negative number. So we've divided by negative 2. What this means is that this guy here, it needs to flip when we do that. So we get x on one side, 4 divided by negative 2 is negative 2. But instead of drawing the inequality pointing towards the negative 2, I'm going to flip it because of that dividing by a negative symbol. Okay? And we get x is less than or equal to negative 2. Now to draw that on the number line. This time, x is included in the solution set. So x could be negative 2 or any number less than it. Because x can be negative 2, we're going to fill in the circle. So I like to think if there's that little line underneath the less than sign, okay, if there's an extra line, fill it in. If there's not an extra line, leave it as a hollow circle. X is less than negative 2, so the arrow will point that way. Okay, and check it back if that doesn't look like it matches. Also, please note that both of my arrows are pointing towards the left, And the less than symbols, or the less than or equal than two symbols in parts A and B, also point in that direction. So if you don't want to have to overthink it, you could just realize that, hey, that arrow points that way, so that arrow is going to point that way. Just be careful of coloring in the dot or not. All right, one more example. This time we have x on both sides of the equation. We're going to handle this in exactly the same way as we would if it was an equal sign in the middle again. The first thing we should probably do is expand the brackets, okay? It's going to make things a little bit easier for us. So 2 times 3 gives us 6, and 2 times negative x is negative 2x. And the rest of the inequality stays the same. Again, we're going to look for the coefficient that is smaller. So here I've got negative 2. I'm just going to write it in orange above it. And here we've got a positive 2. So the smallest of the two is the negative 2. The opposite of take 2 is plus 2. So I'm going to add 2x to both sides. That will get rid of that. And that will give me 6 is greater than 2 apples plus another 2 apples is 4 apples, or 4x, plus 3. We now need to get rid of the 3, so we're going to subtract 3 from both sides. That gets rid of that. 6 take 3 is 3, which is greater than 4x. And now we need to divide both sides by 4, and that will give me, I'm just going to have to write the answer over here, 3/4 is greater than x. Or x is less than 3/4. So I've just flipped everything when I write the opposite direction. And now we plot it. So 3/4 is about here. I've got a less than or greater than symbol, so not an equal symbol. I'm going to draw a hollow dot. And the arrow, if I'm looking at this over here, that's my solution that I'm plotting. The arrow points again in this direction. And that's all there is to it, okay? So this symbol points that way, so my arrow is going to point the same direction. And that's all there is to solving linear equalities and plotting them. Of course, you may need to read the number line and write the inequality that matches it, but I feel like if you can plot it, you can more than likely read it as well. As always, if you have questions, guys, get in touch and I will help you out as soon as I possibly can. Good luck.